The gavel comes down on the wood, and a hush envelops the courtroom. Cody Brown, the former proud patriarch of 4 wives, 18 children, and one grand vision of forever together, now stands alone, confronting them all on the other side of the room. His household turned testimony. His living room, now evidence. And the question on everyone's mind isn't merely who's right, but what actually tore this family asunder. Before we plunge into this tempest of love, betrayal, and courtroom upheaval, tell me in the comments below, if your family's secrets were being dragged into court, who would be standing with you, and who would be called to testify against you? The camera sweeps along the courthouse steps. Snow lightly falls, melting on black overcoats and anxious faces. The Brown family enters, but not all together. Christine enters first, chin up, lawyer in tow, one folder clutched in her hand. Mary comes next, head down, holding a tissue. Janelle slips in quietly, her face calm, nearly blank. And then there's Robin, her tears beginning to fall, as the door barely closes behind her. Within the courtroom, there is a hum like a beehive. Reporters speak softly. Cameras snap. The atmosphere is thick, electric. Not with justice, but with history. Because this isn't a fight between lawyers, it's the breakdown of a covenant. And somewhere in the back of their minds, both of them know, this time, nobody's leaving without being scarred. The judge, a steel-haired woman, calls the case. Brown versus Brown. It rings out into the room like a warning bell. Cody is seated at the defendant's table, jaw clenched, fingers tightening around the edge of the wood. For years, he fought to keep his family out of the spotlight. Now he's fighting to keep himself out. The case? A tangled one. Disputes over property, emotional harm, claims of manipulation, even secret accounts from family income. But under all that paper is something more. Heartache, anger, and betrayal, decades in the brew. Christine's voice interrupts first. Your Honor, she begins, her voice firm but biting. This is not just about the money. This is about truth. This is about how one man had us all in his grip. Emotionally, financially, spiritually, and now wishes to just walk away like it never happened. Cody fidgets in his seat, eyes narrowing. That's not true, he mutters, just loud enough for his attorney to place a warning hand on his arm. The judge glances over her glasses. We'll hear all sides today, Mr. Brown. Please remain silent until you're called. For the first time, Cody isn't in control, and everyone in that courtroom feels it. The first witness is Janelle. She steps up to the stand, hands shaking just a little. She's always the peacemaker, the level head, but today, her level-headedness seems like the stillness before the storm. Mrs. Brown, says the judge, you were spiritually married to the defendant for almost 30 years. What happened to change that? Janelle hesitates, glancing up at Cody. He didn't hear anymore, she says at last. He stopped viewing us as wives, and began viewing us as issues. The crowd grunts. Cameras snap once more, and you see it then, this isn't the dissolution of just one marriage. This is an empire crumbling. Robin's lawyer stands up next, voice icy but incisive. Your Honor, my client, Mrs. Robin Brown, was legally married to Mr. Brown. The others were spiritual marriages, not legal. She has legal rights to guard the family property. Christine snorts, not being able to contain herself. Guard it, keep it. You were the one who instructed him to give them the house deeds. Don't pretend you didn't know what you were doing. Robin's face contorts, the tears streaming openly. I just wanted peace. I thought if everything was in one name, it'd be simpler. The courtroom becomes charged with tension. Even the judge seems uncomfortable. For peace was never the objective. Control was. As the testimonies continue, pieces of years spill out in snatches. Late-night brawls, whispered friendships, the never-ending battle between love and rank. Cody's voice finally shatters the silence. I tried, he tells us, his voice breaking. I sacrificed for this family. I built it from scratch. And now you all stand here pretending I'm the bad guy. Christine turns to us, her eyes blazing. You didn't build it, we did. And now we're dismantling it, one truth at a time. If you've ever witnessed a family disintegrate from within, you know, it's never one bang. It's 1,000 little fissures, poised in the silence to be noticed. The courtroom falls silent once more. Even the journalists have ceased typing. The gravity of that reality lingers in the room. Then the judge leans forward. Mr. Brown, there are some serious allegations of undeclared income, production bonuses from the family shows that weren't shared with all of the wives. Is that true? Cody goes white. His attorney fidgets. Christine's attorney interrupts, holding up a piece of paper. We have bank statements with payments made to Mr. Brown's private LLC, money that was never split equally between the wives. Gasps circulate throughout the courtroom. Robin's hand goes to her mouth. Mary turns away, her voice a barely audible whisper. He said it was for taxes. Cody gazes at the documents as if they're written in Greek. That's not what it seems. It's not what you think. But it's too late. There's not an eye in the room that isn't focused on him, even those once loving him most. And suddenly the trial is no longer about the past. It's about who Cody Brown truly is when nobody's watching. The judge declares a recess, her gavel reverberating throughout the room once more. Christine breathes out, shoulders shaking with equal measures of anger and relief. Cody remains seated, staring at the vacant jury box. He knows it now. This is no longer a trial. This is judgment day for all he created. As the camera fades to black, the outside snow has become rain. And this storm, it's only just beginning. You can sense it too, can't you? That tense stillness before all hell breaks loose. Hold on to me, because what unfolds next in this courtroom will destroy every fantasy they ever constructed. The trial resumes on the second day, with a mellow storm brewing in the courtroom. Last night's rain hasn't let up. It rains against the courthouse windows in a steady ticking rhythm, marking down to something everyone senses but nobody will say out loud. Christine is seated in the front row, her attorney mumbling something about new evidence. Cody looks at her, suspicion dancing in his eyes. He's weary, his face etched with fatigue and pride. But it's not guilt he's wearing. It's anger that's masquerading as fear. The judge comes in. Court is now in session. Everyone stands, then sits. And the silence that ensues weighs more than yesterday. Christine's attorney clears his throat. Your Honor, we'd like to submit Exhibit 34, an audio recording obtained legally, featuring a private conversation between Mr. Brown and Mrs. Robin Brown. The conversation took place last year, during the separation process. Cody freezes. Robin's eyes widen. She knows exactly what tape that is. The judge nods. Proceed. The attorney presses play. Initially the sound is indistinct, then suddenly a voice. Cody's rings out clearly. You don't understand, Robin. I had to. If they ever find out about the accounts, they'll strip us bare. Just trust me. Then Robin's voice, shaking. But Cody, it's not fair. You vowed you'd tell them. A pause that is long. Then Cody once more. Colder now. Promises don't amount to much when they're not faithful. The courtroom falls silent. Utterly motionless. Christine's face sets. Janelle's eyes well up with tears. Mary is covering her mouth, whispering, he told her that. Cody pounds his fist on the table. That's taken out of context. That's not what. The judge holds up a hand. Mr. Brown, calm down. But it's done. His mask has been broken, and the entire room had witnessed it. At this moment, everyone knows this trial is not about who is lying. It's about who's still pretending. The attorney stops the tape and addresses the judge in a clear voice. Your Honor, this recording demonstrates intent. Mr. Brown intentionally hid financial details and played games with his wives emotionally to hold on to control. Robin starts crying uncontrollably, her voice cracking. I didn't mean to record it. I swear. I thought it would remind him what he said. I never intended for it to be here. The judge looks at her kindly. Mrs. Brown, you recognize this tape can alter the course of this case entirely. She nods, crying. Yes, Your Honor. Christine leans forward a bit, speaking in a whisper. It's not about revenge anymore. It's about the truth. Because sometimes the truth doesn't just hurt. It incinerates everything that attempted to conceal it. The prosecutor pushes on with questioning Robin. Thanks, Robin, replies Judge Barton. Mrs. Brown, when did you realize that Mr. Brown was keeping money hidden? Judge's heresy. Robin pauses, looks towards Cody, his eyes imploring her to remain quiet. But she can't. After the divorce documents were signed, I discovered emails, transfers from our shared account to a company he formed, Cedar Lane Holdings. Murmurs circle the courtroom. The name sounds strange to everyone, apart from Cody, who tenses immediately. The attorney jumps in. Cedar Lane Holdings. That's the Wyoming Consulting Services listed company, isn't it? Cody's attorney protests, but the judge lets it stand. Yes, Robin concedes quietly, but it was not consulting. It was a shell company. He transferred money there. I didn't want to believe it. Christine's eyes blaze. You knew, Robin. You always knew. Robin shakes her head frantically. I was afraid. He threatened to make the show end. We'd lose everything if I said something. A reporter snaps a photo with his camera. The atmosphere is charged, laden with betrayal, pity and vindication all at once. Cody glares, his voice booming. You think I'm a monster or something? I created this family. You all had a choice. You remained because you chose to. Don't feign now like I made you stay. The gavel comes down on the bench. Mr. Brown, please sit down or I will have you taken out of here. He sits, but the fury doesn't. If love is about building up people, why does it always seem to come undone in the end with everyone tearing one another down? In the hallway outside the courtroom during recess, reporters crowd the hall. Cameras flash. Christine doesn't talk to the press. She just strides by, shoulders squared, face expressionless. But those eyes, they're burning. Across the room, Janelle and Mary huddle in a corner, conferring in whispers, something that hasn't been seen in years. He's unraveling, Mary says quietly. It's like you watch the man we love dissolve, before your eyes slowly. Janelle lets out a sigh. He's been dissolving for years, Mary. We just finally stopped acting like we didn't notice. Back in the courtroom, Robin sits by herself. Her attorney has excused himself. She gazes at the Bible on the witness stand, running her fingers along the edge. She mutters to herself, I just wanted to keep my family together. But sometimes the more you struggle to preserve something intact, the more quickly it falls apart. As the next witness rises to testify, a financial auditor with the network, the drama unfolds again. He says that on Sister Wives, during its last 2 seasons, secret payments were made to Cody Brown's production firm, outside of the family income. The attorney inquires, did any of the wives get equal pay? The auditor shakes his head. No, all payments were made straight into Cody's account. Christine gasps sharply, half relief, half rage. Robin bows her head. Janelle says under her breath, so it was true all along. The audience gasps, journalists type harder. The room is filled with the murmur of shattered illusions. The judge grants an abrupt recess. Everybody stands, with the exception of Cody. He remains seated, his eyes far away. In his mind, memories flash. The family dinners, the laughter, the confessions under the desert sky. He hears Christine's voice, years ago whispering, promise me you'll never make us choose. And he had promised. But somewhere along the way, he'd made them choose anyway, between their loyalty and their freedom. Because power doesn't always corrupt suddenly. Sometimes it just quietly replaces love. Back in session, Christine's lawyer speaks again. Your Honor, in light of the recently produced audio and financial evidence, we are seeking a complete forensic audit of Mr. Brown's accounts. The judge nods. Motion granted. The court will name an independent auditor. Cody's attorney complains. Your Honor, this is an invasion of privacy. The judge's voice takes on a sharp edge. When there is deception, privacy is a luxury. Motion stands. Cody bangs his hand on the table once more. You're making a circus out of my life. Christine looks into his eyes, peaceful, unyielding. You did that when you turned your family into a stage. The judge orders adjournment until morning. The gavel crashes. They all rise. The rain ceases outside at last. Christine gathers her belongings and heads out, but not before turning around once. Cody's still standing there, slumped shoulders, by himself. For an instant she lets her fury dissipate, replaced by something else. Grief, perhaps, or pity. Because in spite of everything, a part of her still remembers the man who used to look at her like she was the only one in the world. And that's what makes this trial so cruel. Not the lies, not the money, but the love that became evidence. It's odd, isn't it, how the ones who used to say forever can't even meet each other's eyes on opposite sides of a courtroom. As Christine emerges into the chill air, the reporters close in around her once more, calling out questions. She pays them no mind. but one reporter's voice rings out. Mrs. Brown, do you believe this trial will kill your family for good? She hesitates, her voice firm but shaking. No, she says. It was over a long time ago. We're just filling out the forms now. The camera holds on her as she disappears, and from within the courthouse, through the window, we see Cody standing there watching her leave. Silent, still. Fade out. You can feel the transition now, can't you? The moment where pain ceases to be shared and begins to be used as a weapon. Because in the next session, someone's going to break more than a promise. They're going to betray the truth itself. Quote. The third day of the trial, but the 10th by my count. The courthouse, once abuzz with reporters and rumor, is now quieter. Like even the walls have tired of hearing shattered hearts read into evidence. Cody shows up first today. No swagger, no smile, just a guy beat down to the bone. He ties his tie, gazing at himself in a black window. Behind him the courtroom doors swing open, and Christine enters. They don't say a word. They don't even glance at one another. But that silence between them is louder than any fight could ever be. Inside, the judge bangs for order. Court is now in session. Mrs. Mary Brown will take the stand, gasps Eddie through the gallery. Mary has not been heard from in years. She's always the quiet one, the specter of the family's early seasons. But now her face is serene, eyes reddened but firm. Cody's startled, his lips part, whispering, Mary, but she doesn't look at him. The bailiff administers her oath. Mrs. Brown, do you promise to tell us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Mary takes a seat, her hands shaking slightly. The attorney takes a step forward. Mrs. Brown, you were legally married to Mr. Brown for more than 20 years prior to the divorce. Can you inform us what led you to leave? Mary pauses. I didn't leave. I was erased. The courtroom comes to a halt. Explain what you mean by that. Her voice breaks. When he married Robin lawfully, I thought it was just procedure, that it didn't mean anything between us. But it did. It meant everything. He quit addressing me as his wife, quit visiting. I'd watch him laughing with her on the show as my messages went unread. She dabs at a tear. I wasn't losing a husband, I was vanishing from my own life. The judge sits in silence. Even Christine appears shaken. She recognizes that pain all too well. Because sometimes the worst betrayals aren't the ones screamed in rage. They're the quiet ones. When you're still trying to smile. The lawyer goes on cautiously. Mrs. Brown, did you ever speak to Mr. Brown about the claimed emotional neglect? Mary slowly nods. I did. Once. He said that love is not endless. That if he gives more to one wife, the others receive less. She spits out a laugh that tastes of bitterness. Think about hearing that from someone who vowed eternal togetherness. The audience stirs. Cody buries his face in his hands, his knuckles white around a pen. The lawyer questions harder. Did you ever feel pressured to remain silent for the sake of the family name? Mary's gaze darts to the cameras along the back wall. Daily, we were instructed to smile, to tell us that we were content, even as our hearts were shattering. The show was not a window. It was an act of deception, and behind that pretense, the truth was biding its time. Quiet, patient, razor sharp. Then it comes. The lawyer opens a folder. Mrs. Brown, during the investigation, you provided an email you received from Mr. Brown last year. With the court's permission, I'd like to read it. Cody shifts, alarm flashing in his eyes. Wait, the judge motions for silence. The lawyer reads aloud. Mary, I can't pretend anymore. What we had is finished. I'm not your husband in any sense that counts. Please don't bring drama to the others. It's better if you slip away quietly. The courtroom gasps. Even the reporters stop mid-type. Cody reaches forward, pleading. That was private. It wasn't intended to hurt her. Christine interrupts him, her tone shaking with withheld rage. It didn't just hurt her, Cody. It shattered her. Mary covers her face, sobbing quietly. For the first time in years, the courtroom sees not the composed, soft-spoken wife, but a woman grieving a love that died long before she admitted it. And in that moment, no one's winning this case. They're just losing each other more completely. The judge orders a short recess to let emotions settle. As everyone rises to their feet, Mary passes by Cody. For a fraction of a second, she pauses next to him. He speaks softly, "You didn't have to do this." She glances down, her voice quiet but firm. "You did this when you cut me out." And then she turns and walks away. Cody is watching her, his jaw quivering. For one fleeting moment, he isn't so much a defendant as a man who finally understands the gravity of what he's done. Because regret doesn't strike all at once. It creeps in slowly in the places where love once dwelled. Outside, Christine stands by the hallway windows. She sees Mary approach, eyes puffy but less agitated. They exchange a glance, one that declares, "We got through him. Even if we didn't get through together." No words. Only comprehension. Inside, Robin sits silently, spinning her wedding band. When Cody returns to the table, she won't touch him. He glances her way, seeking comfort, but finds none. The courtroom feels colder now. When the judge reconvenes, Christine's lawyer stands again. "Your Honor, in light of Mrs. Brown's testimony, we'd like to submit a digital message exchange between Mr. Brown and network executives. One that references editing decisions involving the wives' emotional breakdowns." The room stills. The message appears on screen, projected large enough for everyone to see. Cut Christine's crying scene shorter. Makes her look unstable. Keep Robin's apology longer. She looks more sympathetic. Signed, Cody Brown. The silence that follows that is like a slap. Even Robin's attorney is taken aback. Cody stammers. "That's not manipulation. That's show business." Christine's voice breaks for the first time, full of raw emotion. "No, Cody. That's cruelty. You controlled the story because you couldn't control us anymore." The judge pounds the gavel for order. But the horse is out of the barn. All camera, all witness, all eye sees it now. The man behind the curtain. And when the truth at last steps into the light, even the most well-rehearsed stories begin to unravel. While making closing arguments for the day, Cody's lawyer attempts to salvage what remains. "My client is not a villain, Your Honor. He is a man who attempted to keep together an unconventional family under extreme stress. There were mistakes but no crimes." Christine's attorney rebuts vehemently. "Intent is the key, Your Honor. He didn't simply make errors. He made decisions. Decisions that have left emotional wounds as deep as any bank ledger can record." The judge nods, her voice tired. "We will continue tomorrow to consider fresh evidence." Everyone rises again, but not before Christine and Cody meet each other's gaze across the room. A glance that is full of history, heartache, and something perilously close to completion. Cody blows slowly out, muttering beneath it, "You asked for the truth. Now you have it." Christine speaks back, barely loud enough to hear. "The truth never was the issue, Cody, it's what you did with it." Amusing thing about truth, when it gets said out loud, it never sleeps again. Court is adjourned for the day. The gavel comes down like a last heartbeat. As all leave, the echo of shoes on marble floors sounds eerie. Ghosts disappearing from the remains of what had been love. Outside, the sun peeks through gray clouds for the first time in days. But nobody is warm with its light, because tomorrow everything is different. Tomorrow, someone stands up who doesn't belong. And what she says might ruin what's left of the Brown name for good. The courtroom is heavier today. No cameras click this morning. Not out of respect, but intimidation. Everyone knows something is about to happen. Christine sits quietly, her hands clasped tightly. Cody hasn't spoken to anyone, not even Robin. He just stares ahead, jaw clenched, as if preparing for a war he's already lost. The judge takes her seat. "We're resuming proceedings in Brown versus Brown. Counsel, please continue." Christine's lawyer stands. "Your Honor, we'd like to call a new witness. Someone who recently came forward with information relevant to the financial misconduct and emotional manipulation in this case." Cody's attorney looks up in surprise. "Who?" Doors open. And in comes Aspen Brown, Cody and Christine's oldest daughter. A stunned gasp ripples through the room. Christine's face blanches. "Aspen, what are you doing here?" But her daughter doesn't glance at her. She's jittery, shaking a little but resolute. Cody's voice lowers, quivering with rage. No, she's not doing that." The judge looks up at him. "Mr. Brown, Sit down. Aspen comes forward. She's sworn in, her voice little more than a whisper. The lawyer speaks softly. Aspen, you know you're under oath. Yes, she responds, voice stabilizing. And I know what this will cost me, because sometimes the most courageous thing a child can do is speak the truth, even when it shatters their family in two. The attorney walks over. Aspen, in your testimony, you referred to recordings, private family sessions, not television shows, that were taped by Dad. Can you clarify? Aspen nods. Dad used to tape our family conversations. He said it was for clarity, so nobody could spin his words. But really, so he could replay our feelings and choose what story to tell afterwards. The courtroom goes silent. Christine covers her mouth, eyes welling with tears. She recalls those meetings, the manner in which they'd always conclude in a flood of tears and Cody explaining to them that they'd misunderstood him. Cody's attorney protests. Your Honor, these are family discussions, not legal records. But Christine's attorney holds aloft a flash drive. With the exception of this one, Your Honor, is a recording of a conversation between Mr. Brown and his children, in which he confesses to moving money and adjusting narrative perception for monetary control. Cody's face blanches. You can't play that, he shouts. The judge leans forward. It most definitely can. Continue. The recording starts. Cody's voice rings out across the courtroom. Is the show based on love? It's based on tension. It's based on conflict. That's how we make it. So yeah, I switch things around. I handle the finances, because someone has to make this family sellable. Aspen's voice comes next, tiny and hurt. But Dad, we're not a brand, we're your family. And then, silence on the tape. With Cody's eerie response, you're both. The room collectively exhales, as if it's been holding its breath all these years. Because in one sentence the whole illusion of togetherness comes crashing down. Cody stands suddenly, voice breaking with anger. That recording was private. You had no right. But Aspen interrupts him. Not screaming, just resolute. You had no right to make us feel like products, Dad. Her voice trembles. You told us we were chosen, that love was eternal. But it wasn't love. It was control masquerading as devotion. Christine cries softly. Robin's eyes are frozen, caught between loyalty and shame. Mary sits motionless, face impassive. The judge slams her gavel. Order, Mr. Brown. You will be seated. Cody's attorney whispers in his ear, but he doesn't hear. His universe is imploding in slow motion, his daughter's voice ringing in his ears. And when your own kid calls you on your stuff, the courtroom isn't a battlefield anymore, it's a mirror. The attorney goes on, softly. Aspen, when did you make the decision to speak out? When I caught Mom cry after court last week. She speaks in a whisper. I knew she was still defending him, even after all of it, and I couldn't stop her from doing that anymore. Christine's tears overflow. I never wanted you involved. I know, Aspen replies, but you showed me the truth is important, even when it's painful. The audience, the reporters, the spectators, even the judge, appears to be touched. It's no longer a trial. It's a reckoning. Cody grumbles to himself, now nearly begging. Aspen, please. You don't know how it is. They manipulated it. I did what I had to do for all of you. She shakes her head. No, Dad. You did what you had to do for you. And that's when Cody Brown finally comes to. He's not standing before a court of law. He's standing before the people who used to call him father. Once the tape stops, the judge speaks in the room, in a soft voice. This court will accept the recording into evidence. Considering the content, it seems Mr. Brown used his power for personal benefit, perhaps at the cost of his family's emotional well-being. Cody's attorney protests back, in desperation. Your Honor, this is being framed as emotional manipulation, but my client's goals were to keep things stable. The judge cuts him off. Control and stability are not the same thing, counselor. The courtroom erupts in hushed whispers once more. Cody hangs his head. Robin takes his hand, but he pushes it away. He mutters to no one in particular. They've turned everybody against me. Robin speaks softly. No, Cody, you did that yourself. Because sometimes the individuals who struggle most fiercely to be correct are the ones who are most afraid of being heard. During recess, something unusual occurs. Robin asks to speak. On her own initiative. The judge blinks in surprise, but grants it. She rises, her eyes reddened but determined. Your Honor, I must no longer be quiet. There's more. Something known only to me. Christine's attorney looks curious. Cody's attorney shakes his head vehemently. Robin, don't. But she does. She inhales deeply. Last year, after Christine's departure, Cody and I sat down with the network. He made them sign an addendum that would ensure any future spin-offs would include him as the one and only producer, not the family. The crowd gasps. Christine appears shattered. He told them, Robin goes on, that the wives didn't deserve creative credit because they weren't professional. The lawyer queries, did he share the profits from that deal? She nods her head. No, I didn't even know the figure until now. Cody stands once more, voice cracking. Robin, stop. You're my wife. Her words are shaking. I was your wife, but I can't be the reason your daughters grow up to believe silence is loyalty. Tears come freely now. From her, from Christine, even from Janelle. The judge finally speaks up. That's enough for today. We'll reconvene tomorrow. The gavel strikes once, twice. The sound feels final. Cody sits motionless, hands over his face. For the first time, he doesn't look angry. He looks lost. The wives stand together quietly, not as enemies but as survivors. Aspen hugs her mother, whispering, you're free now. Christine closes her eyes. I don't know if freedom is the right word. Aspen smiles faintly. Then maybe it's just peace. And sometimes peace isn't something you win. It's something you stop fighting for. As the courtroom clears, Cody remains behind, gazing at the vacant witness stand. He speaks softly, to no one. I just wanted to be remembered. But from the hallway, his daughter's voice carries faintly. You will be Dad. Just not the way you hoped. The camera lingers on Cody's face. The man who once wanted eternal love, now sitting in the silence of his own undoing. You feel that, don't you? That eerie quiet after the truth detonates. When all that's left is what comes next. Because in the next session, the verdict approaches. But one last secret will change everything again. The gray sky is back above Flagstaff. A low thrum of wind moves across the courthouse steps, a noise that is almost one of sorrow, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Inside the courtroom, it is packed, heavy with tension. Everyone knows this might be the day the jury would return for the last time before the verdict. Christine sits next to her attorney, serene but empty-eyed. Janelle leans in, saying something that sounds like, whatever you do, you did the right thing. Mary and Robin sit distant from each other, silent, inscrutable. And Cody, he seems diminutive today, not only in stature, but in character. He gazes at the ground, eyes unfocused. Perhaps it's guilt, perhaps it's fatigue, or perhaps, just perhaps, the dawning realization that this time, there is no version of the narrative he can manipulate to portray himself as the hero. The judge walks in. Court is now in session. The room grows silent. How strange, isn't it? How the stillness before the reckoning always weighs more heavily than the tempest that precipitated it. Christine's lawyer rises first. Your Honor, before we proceed to closing arguments, we have one final piece of evidence. It came in late last night. The judge nods. Proceed. The lawyer holds up a slim manila envelope. This was submitted anonymously, but its contents are directly related to this case. Cody frowns. Anonymous? That's ridiculous, Your Honor. The judge interrupts. We'll review its relevance. Continue. The attorney pushes open the envelope and displays a flash drive. Included in this is a video file, a family home security system recording, dated some almost 2 years ago. Cody's face goes white. Christine clutches the table edge. She recalls that day. The fight, the yelling, the way she walked away. But she had assumed the cameras were not running. The video starts. On screen, the living room is shown. Cozy, homey, agonizingly close. Christine is standing by the fireplace, her voice shaking. Cody, I just can't live like this anymore. You're not here. You're not with us. You're elsewhere. Cody's voice has an icy tone. You always play the victim, Christine. I give everything, and you give me disrespect. She shakes her head. You give control. That's not love. The debate rages on, words as cutting as glass. And then the moment where everybody recalls it differently. Christine advances. You love me. One last time. Tell me the truth. And Cody answers. Low, rough, unvarnished voice. Love you? I love who you used to be. Before you started thinking for yourself. The courtroom gasps. Cody's hand shakes on the table. That's not, I didn't mean it like that. No one believes him. Not after all of it. Christine ducks her head, tears silently streaming down her face. She says softly, that was the moment I became his memory, instead of his wife. Because love doesn't kill in a fight. It kills in the quiet afterward, when the truth finally rings out louder than the excuses. The attorney goes on. Voice level. Your Honor, this video supports the pattern of emotional manipulation set during the trial. Cody's attorney protests. In desperation. That video was filmed without permission. The judge shuts him down. Consent doesn't shield confession. Counselor. For the first time ever, Cody is speechless. He gazes at Christine. Not with rage this time, but something else. Something perilously close to regret. She looks at him tenderly. I wanted to believe you'd love us all the same, Cody. But you couldn't even love us truthfully. He speaks, barely above a whisper. I tried, Chris. I swear I tried. And she says quietly, you did. But caring and trying don't equal the same thing. And so it's over. The great love story that had everyone watching in thrall, not with shouting but with silence. At recess, the family congregates in the hall. Reporters stand back. The mood is too delicate, too unpolished. Robin steps cautiously toward Christine. I didn't know it was on tape, she says quietly. I never wanted it to leak out this way. Christine nods. I understand, but perhaps it was necessary. Mary comes up to them. Her voice shakes. We all followed him because we believed it was love. I believed loyalty was silence. Christine puts her hand on her shoulder. Loyalty without truth is just fear. Mary. And finally the three women torn apart for years stand in unison, not as sister wives, but as survivors of the same deception. Because healing is not always accompanied by forgiveness. Sometimes it is just accompanied by understanding. Back in court, the judge requests closing arguments. Cody's attorney speaks first. My client is a man who lived under the gaze of the public eye for more than 10 years. Every decision, every fight, every weeping moment was recorded and sold. Is it any surprise that he was controlling? Is it a crime to attempt to preserve what the world was dismantling? The courtroom hears, but nobody stirs. Christine's attorney continues. Your Honor, love is not ownership. Partnership is not control. The Brown family story was built on unity, but sustained by silence. What you've seen here is not a man punished for love. It's a man confronted by the consequences of confusing love with power. The room goes still. Even the judge looks shaken. Christine observes Cody. His eyes are glassy and unfocused. He seems like a man remembering too late what he should have clung to. And sometimes the saddest endings aren't when you lose. They're when you see that you were the one who made everybody else go away. The judge breathes deeply. Court will reconvene tomorrow morning for the verdict. Until then, we are adjourned. The gavel drops, but the sound doesn't sound final. It sounds like the reverberation of something more. As all of them rise, Cody extends his hand. Not to Christine, but to the area between them. I don't hate you, he whispers. I just didn't know how to be loved by you. Christine hesitates. Her words soft but firm. You didn't have to be perfect, Cody. You just had to be kind. She turns and walks away. He remains seated. The man who had it all, now hemmed in by the hollow echo of his own errors. Outside, snow starts to fall again. Gentle, slow, almost merciful. Christine glances up at the sky, breathes out, and for the first time in years, smiles. Not because she is happy, but because she is finally done pretending. You sense it, don't you? That hush before the ultimate judgment. The distance between truth and judgment. Because in the next session, the verdict comes. And with it, one final surprise. Nobody anticipates. Morning dawns cold and still. The courthouse looms under a gray sky, shrouded in fog, as if even the sun won't bear witness to what's to come. Christine's first, clad in a dark blue coat. She appears calm, but the tempest raging within is reflected in her eyes. Janelle and Mary come behind her. A subdued gesture of support. Next comes Robin. She stands hesitated outside the entrance, looking at the crowd of reporters and cameras. But it's seeing Cody emerge from the car that brings her to a standstill. He wears a blue suit, tie askew, eyes darkened by lack of sleep. He resembles a man who didn't sleep, perhaps because he knows today's not just a verdict on property or custody. Today is a verdict on who he became. The doors shut, the courtroom fills, and then silence. The judge enters. We are here to render the verdict in Brown vod. Brown, the air becomes heavy. Christine clutches the table edge. Cody intertwines his fingers, whispering something, perhaps a prayer, perhaps denial. The judge clears his throat. Upon reviewing the evidence, testimony, and exhibits, the court finds sufficient grounds for emotional distress, breach of trust, and financial misrepresentation. Cody closes his eyes. Thus the court rules in Christine Brown's favor. Gasps circle the room. Christine exhales, not triumphantly, but with quiet relief, like finally setting down a weight she carried too long. Her lawyer squeezes her shoulder. Across the aisle, Cody sits motionless, pale, eyes wet but unblinking. Sometimes winning doesn't feel like victory. It feels like breathing again after almost drowning. The judge goes on. In addition, because of the documented financial discrepancies brought forward, the court directs an assessment of Mr. Brown's assets and gives temporary jurisdiction over jointly held property to Mrs. Brown until review. Cody's jaw clenches. You can't steal my life's work from me. The judge holds up a hand. Mr. Brown, sit down. You forged this family on common foundations. You don't get to redefine them now that the walls have cracked. He is silent. Christine glances down. One tear rolls off her cheek. It's not about the money. Never was. It's about being finally heard. Because in the end, justice doesn't close the wound. It simply proves it did. Outside of court, there's chaos. Reporters yell questions. Cameras click. But Christine doesn't quit. She goes directly to the steps of the courthouse and stands before the crowd. I didn't come here to ruin a family, she explains, voice firm. I came here to break a cycle, to teach my daughters that silence is not strength, and love is not surrender. The crowd falls silent. Some applaud, some weep, and Cody stands in the distance, out of sight beyond the courthouse glass. His reflection looks back at him. A man who preached once of unity, now torn by his own decisions. Robin approaches slowly. It's over, she whispers. He nods faintly. Yeah, it's over. But then she adds, no, Cody, it's finally over. It's haunting, isn't it, how sometimes the end feels like freedom, but also like losing the only version of yourself you've ever known. Later that evening, Christine drives home through the quiet streets of Flagstaff. The snow has stopped, leaving behind a soft glow under the streetlights. Her phone vibrates. It's a message. From Mary. You were courageous today. I wish I'd had your bravery years ago. Christine smiles weakly, responding, it's never too late to be free. She puts down the phone and breathes out. For the first time in years, her chest is light. In her house, her daughter truly sits with cocoa and a blanket. Mom, she says, eyes wide. Are we really finished? Christine gets down on her knees, sweeping a stray strand of hair out of her daughter's face. Yeah, baby, fighting is over. Now we just live. Truly hugs her close. Christine whispers, closing her eyes. We're okay now. And perhaps that's what healing sounds like. Not applause, not closure, but the stillness of peace that comes from being safe again. But somewhere else in Flagstaff, Cody doesn't sleep. He sits among the darkened living room, the very one from the video footage that shattered him, looking at the vacant area, where family pictures once adorned the walls. His phone vibrates. It's a text from Robin. I need some space. Please don't come home tonight. He drops the phone from his fingers. In the silence, the reminiscences of laughter, of fights, of love, all dissolve into one painful reality. He lost them not because they forgot him, but because he forgot them. He whispers to the vacant space, what if I was wrong? About everything. And in that query, you can hear the hint of regret. Soft, gradual, irretrievable. The morning after, Christine awakens to sunlight for the first time in months. She gets outside, coffee cup in hand, watching the sun rise. The mountains roll out wide and endless. And for once they don't feel like walls. Her phone rings again. A voicemail from a number she doesn't know. She hits play. Cody's voice. Soft. Broken. Christine, I know you don't owe me anything. But if you ever tell this story, tell them I wasn't always the villain. I just got lost in the role. The message ends. Christine closes her eyes, speaking softly to herself. Then perhaps it's time to stop acting parts and begin living like ourselves. She erases the voicemail and pulls away. Because some endings are not about revenge, they're about release. As the screen goes black, the narrator's voice returns. Gentle, contemplative, heavy with significance. The Brown family's story began as a dream of unity. But what happens when a dream becomes a script, and no one remembers who they are without it? In the end, maybe the real courtroom isn't made of wood and marble. Maybe it's the space between two people who finally stop pretending. If you were Christine, would you have left earlier, or struggled to remain longer? Let me know in the comments, because what you say could show us how you define love, forgiveness, and freedom. It quotes been 3 weeks since the verdict. The world has moved on, but the Browns haven't. Christine sits at her kitchen table, sunlight pooling on the counter. Her face is soft now, but also something uninterpretable, like learning to breathe in a new kind of silence. Her phone rings incessantly. Messages, interview requests, invitations from talk shows. But she ignores them. She attends instead to the scent of pancakes frying on the stovetop. Truly laughs in the background, a sound that is like life coming back. But then the phone vibrates again. This time, an unknown number. Christine pauses, then picks up. A producer's voice engulfs the line. Christine, this is from TLC. We're assembling a reunion special. The last chapter of the Sister Wives saga. We'd love for you to be on it. Christine closes her eyes. Her voice is calm, but there's steel underneath. I think my story ended in that courtroom. The rest, that's just echoes. She hangs up. Funny thing about endings. The world always wants to film them, even when you're still trying to live through them. Meanwhile, Cody's life looks different. Smaller, quieter, lonelier. He's still in Flagstaff, but most of the homes are empty now. Mary moved out. Janelle's ignoring him for business. Robin's not speaking to him. He drives around aimlessly most nights, headlights cutting through dark Arizona roads. One time, he pulls into a gas station. The clerk knows him. Hey, aren't you that guy from Sister Wives? Cody smiles fake. Used to be. The clerk nods uncomfortably. Tough break, man. Cody mutters under his breath. Depends who you ask. He climbs back into his truck. The radio plays a country song about second chances. He laughs with a bitter tone. Second chances, he says to himself. I couldn't even manage the first. Sometimes the loudest noise in a man's life is the ring of his own decisions. In a mellow coffee shop across town, Janelle encounters Mary for the first time since the trial. They sit by the window and watch snow fall like ashes. Mary stirs her coffee, uncertain. I didn't know if you'd come. Janelle smiles hesitantly. Neither did I. There is a silence of many minutes. Then Janelle speaks. I defended him for years. I kept telling myself he was stressed, misunderstood. I think I was just too scared to realize I'd based my entire life on someone who didn't notice me. Mary nods, vision watery. I think we all did that. We wanted to feel like we were special, like being part of something greater than ourselves. Made the loneliness pay off. Janelle leans in. And now? Mary breathes slowly. Now I'm seeing that alone doesn't mean lonely. The two women smile softly, bittersweet. They clink their coffee cups together. A small, quiet triumph. And perhaps that's what recovery is. Not fireworks, but the gradual rebuilding of women who finally stopped waiting to be selected. Cut to a park. Robin is there, propelling her youngest on a swing. Reporters still tail her occasionally, taking pictures from afar. She despises it. But she also knows this is part of the tale she volunteered for. Her sister calls on speakerphone. Are you okay, Rob? Robin exhales. Everybody asks that question, and I keep answering yes. But the thing is, I have no idea how to be without them all. Her sister's voice breaks. Perhaps you don't need to be without them. Perhaps you just need to be with yourself. Robin smiles weakly, her eyes on her child's laughter. Perhaps that's the first time somebody's ever said something that actually makes sense. The wind increases. She gazes up at the sky, shining eyes, muttering to herself. Perhaps this isn't punishment. Perhaps it's a reset. Because healing does not equal getting the past back. It equals creating one that does not have to hurt, to feel authentic. Later that evening, Christine scrolls through social media. #justice for Christine. #free the wives. #team Brown. It's everywhere. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone believes they know the truth. She sighs. Then she opens a message from a strange woman. You don't know me, but I saw your trial. You gave me the strength to get out of my marriage after 15 years of silence. Thanks. Christine gazes at the message for a long time, tears welling up. She whispers, if that's what resulted from all of this, maybe it was worth it. Because sometimes the tale that shattered you will end up redeeming another. Days pass, and finally Christine goes to see one of the old family homes. She drives along the long dirt road, the air heavy with memory. The gate hinges creak open. The house seems smaller now. Empty windows, silent hallways. She moves inside, her footsteps echoing. There's dust on the pictures still remaining. Smiling faces, wedding days, family vacations. She touches one of the pictures of all 5 of them together. And for the first time she isn't angry, only thankful to the woman who made it through. She places the photograph carefully on the floor and says, thank you for bringing me here. Then she leaves the house. Door ajar, sunlight streaming in behind her. You see, closure isn't turning your back on the past. It's walking forward into it, and still ending up on the other side. Outside, as Christine pulls away, one car stops behind her. Cody. He doesn't yell after her. He doesn't chase. He just stands there, staring at the open doorway of the vacant house, and perhaps at last, comprehending what it cost her to go. He speaks softly to the wind. I didn't know how to love her right. And for once there is no defense, no debate, no cameras, just truth. Painful, quiet truth. He climbs into his truck and heads off in the opposite direction. When the narrator's voice trails off quietly, the mood becomes reflective, the sort that encourages viewers to lean forward. When a story finishes, we always wonder who won. But perhaps the real question is, who learned? Because sometimes the true verdict comes long after the gavel falls. It comes in the quiet decisions we make when nobody's looking. If you were in Cody's shoes, would you be able to handle the truth about yourself after losing everything? Let me know in the comments, because what comes next could change the way you feel about him forever.